Welcome back, YouTube, to a brand new review. This time continuing on with the Halloween series once again, Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Not only did they change the mask once again for this film, they also changed the director from Dwight H. Little to Dominic Gerard. Once again, another foreign director who has never seen any of the Halloween films, and it certainly shows in this movie. Shows a little too much. The film opens up exactly where Halloween 4 left off, with Michael being shot up, blown up, and guess what, guys? Michael survives. Is he supernatural or just extremely lucky? It looks like maybe he got shot a few times and escaped the explosion by going down a ravine and somehow catching a hold to a net and crawling up to a hermit or hobo's cabin, and he heals him for a full year until he comes back 1 year later. Donald Pleasence is back to reprise his role of Dr. Loomis. Danielle Harris once again plays Jamie Lloyd, who is suffering from some severe case of PTSD and some kind of psychic connection with Michael. This film also introduces a new character, a faceless character, a man in black, so to speak. So not only does it introduce new victims like Tina, but it also introduces a new, not so integral part of the story, but he's there for some reason for like 4 or 5 scenes. One of my favorite parts of Halloween 4 was Ellie Cornell. I love her performance as Rachel, Jamie Lloyd's adoptive sister. When they really sat down and wrote the script for this film, were they thinking, what made Halloween 4 so good? Well, Ellie Cornell gave a pretty good performance and fans seemed to like her. Yeah, she gotta go. She's got to go. No, we'll get someone in more annoying. We'll get this Tina character to come in. This Tina character will come in. She'll be one of the most annoying characters in the Halloween franchise. And we'll kill Ellie right away. Get her gone. Get her out. People like her too much. Let's ruin that for the fans. Probably one of the worst decisions in a Halloween film is to kill Rachel's character off at the very start of the film and then introduce 3 more or 4 more characters that are very annoying and unlikable. The film's opening credits of Halloween 5 tries to capture what Halloween 1 and 2 and somewhat 4 tried to do. It has a whole bunch of opening credits with a pumpkin getting slashed with a knife and some light shining through it. Honestly, it's like they put someone in a room with a pumpkin and a knife and a camera and said, hey, make an opening credits. Anyone could have done it. It's not very good. In my opinion, it's not very memorable at all. After the events of Halloween 4, not only is Jamie suffering from PTSD and some kind of psychic connection with Michael Myers, she also somehow lost the ability to speak. She's now a mute. Jamie Lloyd is actually staying at some kind of pediatric hospital where a lot of kids and sick kids are too, or kids with mental issues. And there's another kid there with a bit of a stutter named Billy. And I just don't like that kid. He just comes off as naggy, and I don't know who wrote this movie, but when it comes down to liking characters, I mean, at certain points in this film, to even make Donald Pleasence's Dr. Loomis unlikable. Do you not know how to write likable characters? The most likable character in this film is an 8-year-old girl in a movie with all grown-ups. Continuing on with the unlikable characters, they also introduce 2 cops who are bumbling buffoons, and they're not likable at all. They're just really stupid, and they have a music score to go with them, like something you'd hear on like Pee-wee's Playhouse, and it's very annoying. And I just don't understand the concept. Okay, who edited this and said, hey, this is going to be a good movie? I don't understand how people get jobs in Hollywood. Like, what? You may be thinking, hey, if this is the 1 year anniversary from Halloween 4 and the events of that night where a whole bunch of people died, and Jamie Lloyd and Rachel's parents happened to be out of town during Halloween 4 because they wanted to impress their boss and get a better job, where are they 1 year later when Michael Myers' body wasn't discovered? You're gonna go on vacation or something and never really fell asleep? Okay, that sounds cool. Awesome. It's great. It's great parenting. Like I said before, there's actually some parts of this film where they make Dr. Loomis unlikable for the fact that he shakes Jamie trying to get answers out of her like she's some kind of like magic 8-ball you can shake and get an answer from. It just doesn't make any sense. Did I mention how much I hate the Tina character? Not the actress. I'm sure she's a very nice person, but the character of Tina in this film, remember that TV show The Nanny where it's like, she had a really naggy voice and she kind of talked like this? Well, that's Tina in a nutshell. Tina is that person mixed with everything bad about teenagers in a nutshell. There's one part in this film where, like, you're supposed to really get connected to Tina at an emotional level and care for her character. So she rushes off to find Jamie, who's, thinks that for some reason with psychic connection with Michael that she thinks Tina's in trouble, so the cops bring her back. And she's like, yeah, well, I can't stay because I have to go screw my boyfriend who took off on me and doesn't show up to the party. And when he doesn't show up to the party and Tina takes off on Jamie and leaves her there, she tries to get with someone else and says she doesn't care about her boyfriend. Once again, writing, character development. I think they just wrote those two on a piece of paper and opened up the window and said, here you go, world, we don't need it. I must talk about the director of this film. I honestly think he had no idea what he was doing when it came to a horror film and or a Halloween film. He has some of the earliest takes of jump scares and shaky cam I've ever seen, and in some scenes they just don't even make sense. I think he puts jump scares in just to introduce a character 90% of the time of this film, and it's very stupid. Let's talk about the editing that I mentioned earlier and how bad the editing for this film is. The ADR in some scenes with Tina's voice and other characters are so badly done that at some points of the film their mouths aren't even moving, but words are coming from nowhere. They're not coming out of people's mouths because their mouth's not moving. So the ADR for this film is bad. And not only is the ADR bad, but the editing for the pace of the film is bad. There's a point where 3 characters, including Tina and her boyfriend and 2 other characters, and one of them works at a local convenience store, who's the girlfriend of Tina's best friend. It's a bit of a confusing, but stick with me. He's like, hey, I have 3 cases of beer out back. Let's go get it before someone sees us in the middle of the daylight. It took them hours to fill someone's trunk up with 3 cases of beer. Literally 3 cases of beer took them hours, because the next scene is in the middle of the night. Makes absolutely no sense at all. It's just like, how do we go from daytime to nighttime to push this story? How long can it take 2 seemingly well-adapted men to load a car full of alcohol? Actually, just 3 cases. That could be 5 hours. Yeah, that sounds about right. Another scene that didn't really fit well is at the pediatric hospital where Jamie Lloyd is staying. There is some kind of kids' costume pageant where Jamie trips out and almost falls over the edge of the balcony or something. Yeah, didn't work either, because apparently there was a whole scene where Michael killed a whole bunch of cops at that place, and because of cost and editing, they just didn't do it, so the scene didn't make any sense at all. Let's talk about the connection between Jamie and Michael. For some reason, after the events of the 4th film, Jamie developed these psychic connections where she can kind of feel for Michael and see what he's seeing, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, and is never really explained in this film. For instance, when Rachel dies early in the film, Jamie can't figure out that Rachel's actually dead. But when Tina's in trouble, and or in peril, everyone rushes to her aid. Jamie did think Rachel was in trouble at one point, but once it finds out she's safe, she doesn't have another connection to say, oh, she actually is still in danger and someone should help her. Doesn't make any sense to me, just bad writing. The whole premise of this film is basically everyone dies. Michael goes after everyone eventually dies. The 4 teenagers of the film, the 2 bumbling cops of the film, the little boy maybe even dies. Billy maybe even dies. I'm not 100% sure because I don't really give a fuck. The cops in this film are worse than stormtroopers. They miss every shot. It doesn't make sense. In a lot of other Halloween films, at least they hit him a couple times. Like Loomis hit him 6 times in the first film. But no, they miss every shot. Every damn shot. Even in Halloween 4 at the end, they hit Michael Myers with bullets. They miss every shot in this film. Every shot. So how did they capture Michael Myers in this film? They have a bright idea of bringing Michael back to his original house. They had this amazingly bright idea of, hey, let's take this young girl, put her in harm's way, and put her in the original Michael Myers house, which isn't actually the original Michael Myers house. It's some other house that looks like shit and doesn't look anything like the original. Let's put her in Michael's sister's room and hope somehow Michael comes and tries to kill her. What happens? The cops get a call to the pediatric hospital, which I talked about earlier, but that scene where Michael kills everyone. You don't get to see it. The cops run away. She's left there with one cop, Dr. Loomis, and he kills the cop. you know, and there's this cool scene. There's probably the best part of the movie. There's a scene where Daniel Harris is in a vent, and Michael's stabbing holes through the vent with a real knife, and, you know, Harris is actually in that vent while he's stabbing holes in it, and it's kind of cool to see. And in fact, at one point, the stunt legs actually get stabbed by him, if I'm not mistaken. So Loomis comes into the picture, and he takes a tranquilizer gun, shoots him a few times, drops a big metal net on top of Michael Myers, and then beats him with a piece of wood. That's how we beat Michael Myers in this film. We beat him with a piece of wood, we throw a net on him, and we shoot him with horse tranquilizers. I'm like, I guess bullets don't hurt him, but tranks will put him to sleep. So they lock Michael in a jail cell, and everything's hunky-dory. Oh wait, the Man in Black shows up, shoots everyone up, and then Jamie walks into the prison, and you get the kind of the same scene that happened at the end of Halloween 4, which instead of Dr. Loomis saying no, you get Jamie saying no. Acting in this film, except for Donald Pleasance, Ellie Cornell, and Daniel Harris, and both star the sheriff, it's pretty lackluster and very pathetic, in my opinion. The soundtrack for this film is absolutely horrible. The bumbling police officer's theme is crap. They managed to use the Halloween theme at least a couple times in the film, so that's cool. The Man in Black idea was kind of crap because it didn't give an explanation for it. He just shows up in town and shoots a bunch of people at the end of the... I can understand if they planned to have a sequel for it, but it didn't happen until years and years later, which doesn't really make any sense. Were they even thinking of anything when they put the Man in Black in the film, or did it just like took 6 years to rewrite scripts until they got something cohesive? The first few times I've seen Halloween 5: The Revenge of Michael Myers, it was actually one of my favorite Halloween films of all time. Over the years, I've come to understand that it's not a great film. It's poorly edited, poorly shot, poorly developed, poorly written. It's just not a very good Halloween film at all. In fact, Michael Myers' mask is even shit in this film. It looks horrible. Here's an image. Overall, I'm going to give this film a 5.5 out of 10. I don't think it's a fail because there are some good performances in this, and some of the action scenes with Danielle Harris are kind of cool, but for the most part, this is not a great horror film. It is not a very good Halloween film at all. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this review. I'm sorry I nagged on Halloween 5, but some things had to be said about this film. It's just not a very good film, and doesn't deserve the recognition it's getting. Maybe because it's so nostalgic for a lot of people, but honestly, it's not a very good film. Stay tuned, I'm going to have the rest of my Halloween reviews up this week, and going into Halloween Day. And as always, take care, stay frosty, and happy October.